Eric.
Hey, good morning. So I can give you a little more specific information about the series of events that led to what happened from a number of our law enforcement contacts who are familiar with what went on this morning. This all began with a call out, which is a call into the arson and explosives detail, which is what we call the bomb squad at the Sheriff's Department, that came from the Lakewood area. That's a community the Sheriff's Department patrols towards the south end of L.A. County. And at that call, the Sheriff's arson and explosives deputies, the bomb technicians, were asked to look at several items that were described as potentially small military-style explosive items. We've been given a name, but we're not sure that's the correct name. And whatever these items actually were, it appears that the deputies believed that they were not of great hazard, not of great danger, and those items were transported back to the parking lot in East LA where this explosion happened. Early this morning, those items were being removed from one vehicle, possibly to be taken into a building or taken to another vehicle, and that's when they detonated. We know that the three deputies who were closest were killed there at the scene, and a sheriff's sergeant who was close by was seriously injured and is recovering. A number of our law enforcement contacts tell us that this is a bit of a head scratcher for them because there is such care that is given whenever there is an item that is a potential explosive device. Their priority is to make it safe so that it doesn't harm anybody. Usually, if there is concern that an item is a potential explosive device, they want to disrupt it or detonate it. Render it safe is the term that they use right there at the scene where it's found, because it's just so dangerous to move items like these around. We know that wasn't done in this case. If these items are moved, they're typically moved inside what they call an explosive containment vessel, which is a steel sphere that is supposed to withstand an explosion should something detonate inside of it. And we didn't see that happen here. It could have, but we didn't see any evidence that that's how these were moved. And so a lot of the folks in the law enforcement community that are very familiar with dealing with explosives and hazardous items say they have a hard time understanding why a device like this would have been brought back to this parking lot. The sheriff's arson explosives, as you heard the LA County Supervisor Catherine Barger say they're extremely skilled. This is their business. Not only do they know how to safely handle items like this, but they also are fully aware of the potential danger and the potential hazard. And so there must have been a reason that this item was being, or these items were being moved the way that they were, or perhaps, as some others of our law enforcement contacts have speculated, it was unclear that these items were as dangerous as they turned out to be. They've been described as some kind of military ordnance, but we were cautioned to say this does not look like a conventional explosive item that might be part of a military's inventory. When those items have been discovered, just anecdotally, not dealing with this case in particular, sometimes members of the U.S. Marine Corps stationed at Camp Pendleton who specialize in what they call EOD, explosive ordnance disposal, they're called either to consult or to come look at the item itself because they're the real subject matter experts when it comes to military-style items. And in this case, we're told that didn't happen. So the thinking that we've been hearing from some of our law enforcement contacts is whatever happened here, these items did not appear on their surface to be as dangerous as they turned out to be. The Sheriff's Department's bomb squad, other explosive experts in law enforcement have lots of ways of examining suspicious items to find out if they're actually dangerous. They can do chemical tests on items to see if there is residue or chemical traces that are commonly found in explosives. That gives them a good indication without ever actually opening up a particular object. There are dogs that can sniff for some of those component chemicals. And then if they go hands-on, meaning a deputy or an officer or an agent goes right up to the device to look at it, there's a lot of things they can see just by observing it, but they can also do things to look inside it. Oftentimes they use a portable X-ray machine to look inside objects that could contain explosives, and that will give them a pretty clear idea of whether or not something is dangerous or too dangerous to move and has to be dealt with right there where the items are found. So again, then members of the arson explosives detail sent down into the Lakewood area. That's where they retrieved these objects that they believe are the ones that exploded in the parking lot of their offices in East Los Angeles. The whole facility is called the Training Center, the Biscaluz Training Center, but within that, there are offices for a lot of the specialty units in the Sheriff's Department. That's where this happened. Back to you guys.
You know, Eric, I know you've been working your sources all morning long, and we are expecting to hear from Sheriff Luna. There's so many questions we all have about what happened, but it would seem to me that what we're going to hear from him is about the 3 people that we lost.
I believe so. The Sheriff's Department sent out a notification several hours ago now, notifying all of its employees of exactly who was involved in this incident, because even though it's a nearly 10,000 member department of deputies, a lot of people know each other. It's a small community, even though it's a large department. And especially when you get into specialized units, which require an enormous amount of specialized expertise, it's an even smaller community where everyone knows one another, not just within the Sheriff's Department, mind you, but in these niche specialty areas. There's a lot of training and collaboration that goes on amongst other law enforcement agencies. So the people that work in bombs and explosives at the Sheriff's often know the people in other agencies as well. Back to you guys.
All right, Eric, thank you so much for that. We appreciate any information that you give us. All right, we're also hearing from leaders here and in Washington, D.C. this morning.
Our Adrian Rambulo joins us live now in the newsroom with more on that. Adrian.
From nearly a dozen local, state, and federal leaders regarding this tragedy, and so far many expressing their condolences and prayers for the LA County Sheriff's Department. United States Attorney General Pam Bondi saying, quote, "I just spoke with the Sheriff Luna and have the FBI and ATF agents on the ground to support. Please pray for the entire Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department." And a new statement from Governor Newsom's office says, quote, "The state has deployed investigative personnel from the Office of the State Fire Marshal at the request of the ATF. They are en route." At the county level, Supervisor Janice Hahn just said, quote, "This is an extraordinarily painful day for our Sheriff's Department and for LA County. I am offering my full support to our Sheriff Robert Luna and his department as they not only work to support our deputies, but to investigate what went so wrong. We need to get to the bottom of what happened and make sure that it never happens again." And finally, LA Mayor Karen Bass speaking out, calling this a horrific incident, ending her statement saying, quote, "The thoughts of all Angelenos are with those impacted by this blast." So this has captured the attention of officials at the highest levels of government and law enforcement, again, at the federal, state, and local levels. All people, entities involved offering their assistance, whether it's resources, support, prayers for the LASD and the 3 deputies who were killed. And we do know that the FBI and ATF are assisting the Sheriff's Department with the investigation. Annabelle?
All right, Adrian, thank you so much for that. We want to get back up to NBC4's Julia Dang. She's live over the scene in News Chopper 4. Julia.
Annabelle, more people walking up now, and this is just a sad step forward in the operations on the ground. You can see they've set up a canopy here. It's that black tent in the center of the screen, and this is what they're going to use to cover the bodies, the victims who are still here on the ground. And that's why we're being really careful with the helicopter camera, making sure we don't show you anything graphic. Again, this happened about 4 hours ago now. The victims are still here. They're still piecing together exactly what happened. And what's really interesting, too, on the ground is this backpack, this bag that we noticed earlier right next to the SUV with the blown-out back window. That bag is still here, too. You might have noticed about 15 minutes ago, we were zoomed in really tight on this parking lot, and you could see members of the Sheriff's Department bomb squad going vehicle to vehicle and then crouching down. It looked like they were looking under these SUVs. Unclear what they were checking for, but they were not wearing hard hats or protective gear. So it looks like this scene has now been deemed safe, and more people walking up now, getting these victims covered and then eventually transported. We're live at News Chopper 4. Back to you.
Julia, thank you. Well, this is a breaking news story. We, of course, will keep following it throughout the day on air and online.
And again, Sheriff Robert Luna is expected to hold a news conference in the next 30 minutes. We will, of course, bring that to you live.